What's up, everybody? Welcome to the New Surge Live episode, the video version slash podcast version for, let's see, when is this going to get released? Friday, so it's going to be June 26th, 2015. I am Joe White. Um, I have a lot of stuff to talk about here today, and I'm going to start off in video games, and we're going to slowly go into wrestling, and then we're going to go slowly into some show business here. When I say show business, I mean business dealing with New Search Live, 1640 PWPR, stuff here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, Shenmue 3 was announced at E3 2015 last week at Sony's press conference, and it's kind of announced in controversial fashion. I think it's Ken Suzuki, I think is the guy who makes this thing. Let me make sure I got it right here, because of all the fanboys on the internet will crucify me if I don't get this thing right here. I know the guy's last name is Suzuki. And people go, Joe, why don't you have this prepared? Because I do this on the fly. I like doing this on the fly for you guys. Yu Suzuki. There we go. It's Yu Suzuki. There. I stand corrected. Yu Suzuki came out on stage with a rep from Sony. I forget who the nerd was, but he acted like he really didn't want to be there anyway and didn't really understand why he was there. They announced a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. Now, is it right for a video game company to sit there and go, hey, if you want this bad enough, pay for it? It's a double-edged sword. The company, from what I understand, Sony nor Microsoft, nobody had any interest in picking this franchise up. It's a dead franchise. It was in Sega's vault. It was going to be there, RIP. You were not going to get a Shenmue 3, okay? They didn't have any interest in it because the first two were such a gamble for Microsoft and Sega respectively that they just, and the amount of money that went into them scared people. It scared developers. So I guess Sony thought, okay, Suzuki-san came to them and said, I want to do this game, but I don't have the money to do it. Is there any way you can help me? This episode of New Search Live brought to you by Bubba Cola, the red kind. I don't like the blue. This is their version of Coke, and then they also make a blue can that is their version of Pepsi. But anyway, getting back to Sony says, okay, look, here's how we'll help you. We will take and give you money for marketing. Marketing. Because for people who don't know, it takes a lot of money to market a game, especially if you're going to go all out like kind of what they did with Batman Arkham Knight. If you're going to go in that kind of direction at all, you're going to need TV spots. You're going to need posters up everywhere. We're talking billboards in Times Square, the whole 9 yards. It's maybe not billboards in Times Square, but it's certainly billboards in all your major cities to promote the game. New York, Orlando, LA, Houston, Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the major cities in the U.S., DC. Then you get into the smaller markets where it may cost a little bit less, Raleigh, Greensboro, Louisville, you get out to, Austin, Texas, the smaller Philadelphia, smaller markets like that. Well, Philadelphia is kind of like a medium-sized market, but anyway, I wouldn't consider it a major city of the U.S. But you guys get what I'm trying to say. It takes money, it takes manpower, and it takes, time. So Sony goes, look, Suzuki-san, we will pay for the marketing. We will push this to the moon if you can get the money to throw it together. So Suzuki does not have the money to throw this thing together himself, nor can he, I'm sure he has backers out there that are willing to help him, but maybe he's a couple million short, okay? So he goes to Kickstarter. I don't have a problem with him going to Kickstarter because Kickstarter, this is what Kickstarter's for. It's for those who may not have the money to do a project, an art project. Yes, video games are art, and it enables them to do that through crowdfunding, which means you give them money. You pledge them money, and if they raise the money, then Kickstarter says, okay, you can have the money. If you don't raise the money in a certain time limit, Kickstarter says, well, people must not want it that bad, so we're not going to give you anything. So the thing's already funded. Let me see here if I can find the Kickstarter page, okay? They were asking for $2 million. The thing's already over $3.5 million. There's 22 days to go on the Kickstarter, okay? Let's see what the stretch goals are for this thing, because there's stretch goals saying, hey, if you raise this money, we'll give you this. If you give us this amount of money, we'll give you that. Shenmue 3, let me see here. It's if you give them $29, you're guaranteed a copy of the game for PC or PS4. It includes the $5 reward, which is Shenmue Lives or Lives. I'm not too sure. $60 gives you a special backer edition physical copy for the PC. $100 gives you the trial version plus your name in the credits. $120 gives you toy capsules, little bitty toys in the game. $160 gives you the bonus pack, which includes 20 time capsule toy tickets, which is an in-game item, MP3 downloaded the original soundtrack, digital art book, Shenmue 3 t-shirts, and then it also includes whatever's in the $120 reward. $175, you get a printed art book created by Yu Suzuki, and that includes also the $160 reward. People are actually buying this. $250, you get an illustration, backer-only arcade technique scroll, which is an in-game item. Skin change feature for Ryu's jacket, in-game item. Physical CD soundtrack and everything, you get in the $175 reward. $300, you get an illustration signed by Yu Suzuki, backer-only arcade technique stroll, skin change for the jacket, physical CD soundtrack, $175, everything in the $175 reward. $500, you get the toy capsule box set. All four of the toy figures, Shinra, Chai, and the forklift, plus everything in the $300 reward. This goes all the way up to the $10,000. You get the jacket, the actual jacket that Ryu Suzuki, worn by, basically you get the jacket worn by Matsuke for all the Shenmue press events 14 years ago. Somebody's already bought this. Somebody's also bought the dinner party thing. So, let's see here. Here's our stretch goals for this thing, guys. And then, now granted, these are the ones that have already been reached. You get Shenmue 1 and 2 cinema shorts, which is kind of recapping what happened to the first two games. $2 million, they're going to give you Dutch subtitles, I think. French subtitles, Spanish subtitles, and Italian subtitles have already been purchased. A rapport system is at 3.2, and at 3.5, they finally reached the skill tree system. There are more stretch goals beyond $5 million, but I doubt they'll get to this. Anyway, the thing is that this thing's already funded. The game's going to come out. They've reached their money's worth. You know, they've reached their goal. So Shenmue 3 is officially going to come out. When? Well, first off, they got to wait another 22 days before they can even get their money. And however long it takes Kickstarter for, to give you that money, which is, at this case, $3 million, they got to even collect it. And that's if they can even collect that money. If people do, good on their pledges. Let's say they say, hey, yeah, take it out of my bank account or whatever, and then all of a sudden they don't have the money there, and they don't pony up the dough to pay them. That's however X amount of dollars they've pledged is not going to be there. The thing's already had 45,000 backers. 45,568 backers have point up $3 million, okay? So, let's say let's do this. We're going to divide 3, let's just do 3 million, or, well, no, we'll do 3,641,282, and we're going to divide that by 45,568 backers for this thing. That's at least an average of $79 per person. Average. If you divide that up, I mean, that the math could be totally wrong. People are going, "Oh, you're doing it wrong." I don't care. That's my math. But anyway, Shenmue 3 is coming out, and people are sitting there going, "Well, even if we give them the 2 million, it's going to cost $80 million for this game to come out, man. Sony's got to be giving them more than just marketing." Well, where are you getting your figures from? Is this based on what the game cost to make in 1999 and 2001? People don't realize that $80 million was split up. It was made. That 80 million went to make Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2, and they had even planned a Sega Saturn version of the game, which got about halfway done and then was scrapped. Plus all the extras and marketing for all three games. That's how your 80 million or whatever figure you're going to throw out there got spent. We're talking $1 million here, or 3 million here to make one game. Excuse me. It's not going to cost 80 million to put this game out. The only thing they got to do is develop it, hand it to Sony, and say, "Here you go. Push it to the moon. Make us our money." That's it. Moving on. Batman Arkham Knight. I am loving this game. Game of the year. Game of the year. I'm going to say it right now. It beats out Witcher 3. It beats Witcher 3. I have not played Witcher 3. I've heard nothing but good things about Witcher 3, but to me, this is Game of the Year, guys. I've seen Let's Plays of Witcher 3. This has, oh no, man, Game of the Year, right here. And I'm so hoping that next year they release a Game of the Year edition like they did with the other two, because I will buy it again. Take my fucking money, Rocksteady. I'm so sad that they've reached this level, and they're saying that this is their last Batman game. They're going out with a bang, that's for sure. I want to go all the way back to when this game got a mature rating back in February, and it is a mature rated game, guys. I'm going to tell you, there doesn't have blood or gore in here, but there are some things that are shocking and that may not be appropriate for small children. My son's sitting here watching me play it, and there are certain parts of it where I have to tell him, that's fake, right? It's Batman, it's fake. And he goes, "Yeah, I know, it's a cartoon." So it's pretty shocking. It's a good story mode. There's a reason why it's got an M rating. There's a reason the ESRB. What happens is that they presented the game to the ESRB, and ESRB is like, "Look, we know that your other two games. I think Arkham City was rated T for teen. Let me check on that here. I want to say that was rated T for teen, and there is, that was child's play compared to this thing. I mean, absolute child play. It doesn't say what it was rated. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it here on GameSpot. GameSpot may have it here. Now, I didn't, yeah, it was T for teen, okay? The other two were T for teen. And this one's M for mature. So, Rocksteady already knows that they're going to get their money because the other two games were good enough to establish a fan base that wants a... What the fuck is that? Anyway, that wants this game, okay? They've established their fan base. They're going out with a bang. Let's do M for mature. Now, Rocksteady had the balls to put this game out there, and it's going to make them, and already has made them, a ton of money, okay? Now, it's also cost them a ton of money, and we're going to get to that here in a minute, but I think that more game developers should take a chance like this. Now, there's so many political reasons why they don't. There is so much bullshit politics in Washington for the, video games are poisoning the youth. Don't let your kid play anything rated M. Grand Theft Auto will cause them to go out on a killing spree. Now, granted, if you're letting your child, if you're letting your kid, I will say 17 and under, or 16 and under, if you're letting your 16-year-old kid play, or any other kid under the age of 16 play GTA 5, you need your fucking head checked as a parent. As I said before in videos, I got GTA on launch day, and there were tons of kids coming in the store with their parents going, "I would like GTA 5, please." And the guy behind the counter, to GameStop's credit, were doing their job by law, and we're looking at the parents going, "You realize this game is rated M for mature. It has sexual situations, a lot of violence." And the people and the parents were like, "I don't care. Just give me the kid, give him the game." And little Timmy goes on to play GTA 5, and the youth of America is poisoned, as they say. Not poisoned by the video game makers, it's poisoned by the parents. So take a look in the mirror, folks up in Washington. But this is right. This is the reason why people are so afraid to push the envelope with video games. And I'm going to stress this right now. Batman Arkham Knight by no means is it's child's play compared to a game like Hatred or to a game like, GTA 5. So don't even, it's nowhere near on that level. It's a beautiful game. It's beautifully drawn. It's beautifully written. It's beautifully voice acted. A little bit buggy, but then again, they'll fix that with a patch down the line. Nowhere near buggy as that PC version. But anyway, so the game comes out Tuesday night, or Monday morning, I should say. Or Monday, I'll say Monday evening. Monday evening, I go to my local GameStop. You may have heard Rick and I talking about it. I got to the GameStop, and there was at least 50 people inside this GameStop already. And I'm walking around going, man, this is awesome. A lot of people are getting this game. Then I was also happy to see they had it stacked up in the back, all the pre-orders, and the amount of piece, like, the Xbox is down here and the PlayStation stack is up like this. I was really happy to see that because I'm a PlayStation fan. So me and Rick were discussing that I had to go because I wanted the game. I didn't want to wait till Tuesday morning to crack it open and put it in. So I went and got the game at the midnight release. I had it already paid off. So I get there and we and Rick were discussing that. Oh, we got to go because I got to go because sometimes they have cheap pizza like in Kool-Aid, Sometimes they'll do that. They blew me away at this GameStop. They had Buffalo Wild Wings there. So I got me like a big old tray of wings to take home with me, which were really good, by the way. But anyway, I want to say a couple things about the Buffalo Wild Wings at the GameStop. People are like, oh Lord, here he goes. Not a good idea. If I was running that store, I wouldn't have Buffalo Wild Wings in a GameStop. It's like a bull in a china shop. You got these people. Now, granted, they have plenty of napkins there, but you have these people walking around a video game store eating sauce-covered wings. So, granted, paper towels, for those who have eaten chicken wings, your hands are dirty at the end of it. You need a wet nap, okay? And people are grabbing 10 or 11 of these things at a time. They had 3 big catering buckets full of these things, so they had plenty of wings to go around. So now you have people in your store, in a video game store, full of discs and cases that you're trying to keep nice and neat and orderly. All of this merchandise is now being touched with chicken wing hands. People walking around picking up game cases and other merchandise. They had the vinyl pop figures and t-shirts, and they even start selling cell phones, which is another fucking issue with GameStop. But they could have had, I mean, not a good idea. And then, even then, I'm not a big hot sauce kind of guy. In fact, I can't handle anything spicy, but I did have some of the sweet chili wings, which were fucking fantastic. I never had those from B-Dubs before. Yes, I just called it B-dubs because I guess Buffalo Wild Wings got changed to B-dubs somehow. I don't get it either. Um, but they had all these hot wings. And they had the celery sticks and the ranch sauce and the blue cheese dressing. But then you're forced to, walk around GameStop with your mouth burning, and they had nothing to drink for these customers. So they didn't even have like water or anything. Of course, I know water makes it worse, but I mean, at least you have something to wash it down with and try to make it a little bit better. Nope, none of that. They just had the chicken wings, the celery, and the ranch dressing, which I cannot stand ranch dressing, so I didn't partake in that. In fact, I actually took my big bucket of wings and I brung them home. I actually walked out of the store and stashed them in the car. So we get the game and or they go to release the game and they release it in groups and they tell everybody, go outside, we'll call your group in because I guess they didn't want a mass hysteria. So I'm standing out there talking to this guy and me and him are chatting back and forth about the differences between Xbox and PlayStation. It's kind of like I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC. He's an Xbox guy, I'm a PlayStation guy. So we're sitting there debating back and forth in a friendly manner. Which one's better? And he goes, oh man, we got that Tomb Raider coming out exclusive next year. And I look at him and go, I'll answer your Tomb Raider, your Lara Croft, with a Nathan Drake, which is 10 times better. And he's like, man. And then we get off on the Wii U tangent and how I'm excited for Mario Maker. And not many people there were excited for that game. A lot of people who I was talking about it go, what is that? They didn't really know about it, but they will. It's awesome. So I'm sitting here chatting with this guy, and all of a sudden, there's another guy standing across me, and he whispers over to his girlfriend, loud enough to where I can hear it, going, do you hear those two fanboys bitching about their systems? To which I promptly turn and look at the guy and go, it's okay to be a fanboy for a certain system. And then he just shoots me a look, and I'm like, don't look at me like that. Don't, how dare you sit there and insult me by try to insult me by calling me a fanboy when you are at a midnight fucking release for a Batman game. How much more fanboy can you get? You're at a midnight release for a video game, for crying out loud. You could be at home sleeping. No, you chose to go out at midnight and go to a video game store for a video game, and you have enough balls to bitch at me and look at me and try to insult me and call me a fanboy. Get a grip. So everybody around me laughed at the guy, and it was kind of give me the old right on because they knew I had owned him. So I get the game home, and all of a sudden I put it in the PlayStation, and I knew this going ahead of time. There's a 3.6 something gigabyte patch that you got to download for this thing. Whatever happened to releasing video games and then working correctly right out of the case? It wasn't until PlayStation 3 came along that you had to worry about bullshit day one patches. We got a copy of Super Mario Brothers 3 when we were a kid. If it was buggy or not working correctly, we took it back to the store and got a new one. The point is, the game was released perfectly. As is, no patches needed. I could see DLC and add-ons, but patches. A patch, for those who don't know, is like the game is wounded. The game is not acting right, so you have to patch it over to make it act right, to make it less buggy. No call for that. There's no call for that. I'm sorry. Rocksteady, it's a beautiful fucking game, but come on now. I could see it if it was, small stuff. Like, oh, okay, we discovered a bug where in this level, if you walk up to the guy and press X, it may not work. It may not release the guy, which I had that happen to me, even after the patch. Patch wasn't good enough, was it there, Rocksteady? I could see if it was one or two things like this, but 3.9 gigs? What the fuck did you really need to patch? What was so buggy about your game that you pushed it out like that? Did you discover something this late in development? After the discs had already been printed? There's no call for that, Rocksteady. And that goes to every other video game developer out there. There's no call for that bullshit. I'm getting sick of it. Every time I go to try to play a video game, that I gotta sit there and wait an hour or two. Well, it wasn't an hour. It was more like 10, 20 minutes. But still, you should be able to take a game on day one. Midnight release or no midnight release, you should be able to take a game on day one. Put it in your PlayStation and play it. As is, no bugs. It should work correctly. That's like if you go buy a car and they were like, oh, wait, before you could drive it home, we got to put the brakes on it. Or before you got to drive it home, we got to tune up the engine. Doesn't make sense. Get it together, developers. And it's not just Rocksteady. It's Rockstar, it's Bethesda, it's EA, it's Sony, it's Naughty Dog, it's every one of these damn money-grubbing fucking AAA damn developers. I could see if you're an indie developer, because it's indie, it's small. You don't have the money or the backing or the time that these AAA developers do. It's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely moronic. It's spitting in our faces that we pay $60 for a game, let alone the DLC and the microtransactions, which I'll get to in a minute. But, you know, it's like buying a Monopoly game that's missing houses and hotels, so you have to send off and wait 4 days in the mail for it. Or, oh, you know, we'll send you the houses and hotels. We forgot to include them. Okay, well, we'll send them to you in the mail. It doesn't know. Get your shit together. That's all I'm asking. On to the game itself. Now, well, before I do that, let me go ahead and go off into this, because I do have some notes here about the game, and that's about the PC release. Yay, PC Master Race! Boogie2988 released a song all about it. Yeah, I got a 4.4 Titan graphics card, and that I update it every month, and we're so much better than consoles, and I could get this to run at 60 frames per second with my video game card, and I got a rig the size of size of my penis, and it can also DVR and play Google and all that. Nah, come on. You're the red-headed stepchild of the video gaming world. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Get over yourself. Did you really expect this to come off without a hitch? Did you really expect this game to come out for you guys? Never, let alone the patch on the we're used to the patch on the thing, on the consoles, okay? And we could bitch about console release. Did you really expect this game to be released without it being utter atrocious, without you having to turn tons of settings on your graphics card and in-game graphics off? What were you thinking? Did you really get your hopes up? Come on now. Now, I game on the PC too. I have an Xbox controller that rubs the hooks right, remotes right into my computer. I know what it's about. But I would never buy a PC game on day one. No way. So many people complain about this video game not working on PC that with the new Steam refund system, it's being refunded left and right. And here's the secret. Here's the rub. Steam still gets your money. Steam still gets their percentage for carrying the game and distributing the game. Okay? That money that you get refunded comes right out of Warner Brothers and Rocksteady's pocket. So, kudos to all you. Kudos to all you PC Master Race fanboys who got your money back and has now costed the industry millions of dollars. Okay? So now everybody, and I feel sorry for those of you who pre-ordered. Oh my God, do I ever feel sick? They must have known something that we didn't about a month ago when they instituted this refund policy for Steam. Because From what I've been hearing, the game runs like shit on PC. So now start pre-ordering your PC games because it's doing nothing but costing the developers money. And maybe now they'll learn that when I agree with Boogie2988 when he did his Francis video about this. I agree that go ahead and pre-order Mad Max because if its bug is the same, it's going to cost them more millions. Steam just ain't going to. Steam makes their money either way. Steam is going to continue to make money. The game is still buggy, by the way, on consoles. There's certain spots, if you looked at my YouTube channel, you'll see there's spots on there that are just. I'd be fighting a guy and I go to grapple, and the grapple doesn't work, even though I'm pressing R1 to get away from being shot at. And when Batman dies, the camera zooms and he's halfway over across the map, stuck in the floor. There's no call for that. Every game has glitches, but no. We're beyond that now. The story is great. The side missions in this game are absolutely wonderful. The fact that you could switch on the fly between which missions you want to cover, and you've always kind of been able to do that in a Batman game, but it all integrates. The experience, the whole atmosphere of Gotham City, and it's in fucking shambles, and it's a goddamn war zone. No matter which supervillain you're going after, whether it be Riddler, Two-Face, Penguin, it doesn't matter. There are a couple that I'm missing in this game that I was missing from this game that I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see something done with Bane in this, I haven't beaten the game yet, no spoilers. I'm only maybe about 30-40% into the main story mode. I mean, so I don't know yet. I don't have the time to sit around and just play it constantly. Mark Hamill is back. Spoiler alert here. Mark Hamill is back as the Joker in this. I'll just let your mind wander on that one. And he's absolutely wonderful. Mark Hamill is the reason why I did to buy this game. The game is actually kind of hard. Even though I have it on normal mode, I find myself dying quite a bit, which is actually refreshing. You can't just breeze past it. You have to strategize. You have to use that detective mode. You have to use the gadgets. You have to play by their rules. So I was kind of nice to see that. Besides the fact that, and then besides the fact that I had to download that patch and then all the DLC, because I got a shitload of DLC, they released a new 52 skins pack for free for everybody, which I liked. I got the Red Hood missions pack. I got playing as Harley Quinn because I pre-ordered, which I have not done yet because I'm waiting to complete the main missions here. I got the 60 skin for the Batmobile as well as for Batman itself, plus the Justice League 3000 skin. Let's see. Red Hood, Harley Quinn, skins. There was one more. Oh well, if I think of it, I'll let you know. But anyway, the game's just, for all its bugs, and there's very little. The patch must have done some good because it's very little, very, very, very little bugs on consoles. It's the best looking game I've seen in a long time. The game is just so dark in certain sections, but it's bright and colorful at the same time, and it makes you want to go all over the city looking and just trying out and looking at different things. It's beautiful. Anyway, we're going to get into some wrestling news here. I guess the big news of the day for me, and I haven't checked on it here, I don't know really, basically, the story is that he told on Impact last night was the truth. They're bringing him in for the Slammiversary. It gives him a badly needed, it gives TNA a badly needed star for the pay-per-view, even though it was last minute. And it allowed Jeff Jarrett to promote Global Force Wrestling, which I'll be going to one of their shows in August. Jarrett's going to be working the pay-per-view, and he'll probably be this year's TNA Hall of Famer. They attempted to get AJ Styles from what this article here that I'm reading on PW Insider saying. And TNA talents are going to be able to work GFW events as part of this deal. No, I at first was like, holy shit. Maybe, the rumor was maybe Global Force was buying TNA. Maybe Dixie Carter, aka Jim Hurt Jr., is finally going to leave, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. The next big convention, though, is Comic-Con. WWE and NXT are going to Comic-Con. They're going to be doing a panel, a WWE panel, along with Mattel. And let me see here. It looks like on the 7/9 at 1 p.m., William Regal, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Charlotte are announced for this panel. I like that idea. I like the idea of WWE going to Comic-Con. That raises awareness for the brand and for the business. Apparently, TNA is doing some bell-to-bell special that has Kurt Angle going against EC3 for the championship. They didn't want to do it on at Slammiversary for whatever reason, but oh my god, this is crazy. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is running a show without a card. Anyway, good for them. I honestly think the whole Jeff Jarrett TNA GFW thing is all about this. It's all about the promotion. It's all about the money. Jarrett's obviously getting paid to be there, so while I kind of got excited at first, it is what it is. It pretty much told the truth. Good promos last night, too, by those two. And the thing is, the sad part is that I watched TNA. I fast forwarded to the Jarrett thing just to see what they had to say live, and then I deleted it off the DVR and didn't watch another fucking second. I don't watch TNA unless I think that maybe there's an inkling that Dixie Carter, aka Jim Hurt Jr., is finally going to leave the place. I'm not going to watch. I thought maybe there was an inkling last night that the announcers may have said something that they didn't say in the ring about this, and there wasn't. Anyway, we're going to close the show off here. There's a lot of stuff happening here with New Surge Live and 1640 PWPR, facebook.com/1640 PWPR. Bit of controversy as of late. Rick and I did a video where we kind of took to task the practices of a certain show host here at 1640. And then New Surge Live got met with a love letter, basically saying that I'm Jekyll and Hyde and that when I'm with Rick, I'm a totally different person. And that, I'm pretty much good cop, bad cop when it comes to Rick. And I will say none of what Pat said was untrue. There was a time when I first started, this, Rick and I were serious. And then, Rick would occasionally go in with the dick and fart jokes, but he doesn't do that as much anymore. And I guess there was some personal stuff there that happened. Me and Rick recorded a rebuttal to this, which really didn't make it to air because Google Hangouts fucked up and Rick's voice didn't get recorded. Where Rick pretty much goes point by point of that little love letter show and says, Pat's not necessarily lying, and if Pat wants to get technical, I ruined the PWS deal. I was responsible for the original incarnation of 1640 PWPR being banned by the owner of Pro Wrestling Syndicate. And mainly because I took him to task and called his ass out for having running shit shows. And as for Evan Ginsberg and Rick complaining the whole time, they're a lot like me where I've walked out on wrestling shows when during main events and stuff if I know that A, if I know what the finish is going to be, and B, if I know the finish is going to be shit, if the rest of the match is going to be shit, hell, even if the rest of the show is going to be shit, I've walked out in maybe the fourth or fifth match before, you know? People say that's disrespectful. Well, people walk out on movies too. Is that being disrespectful? If you're watching a movie and you're going, oh my god, this is shit, and you get up out the theater and walk out, is that disrespectful? I don't think so. I honestly don't think it is. You paid your money to watch it. If it's shit, it's shit. And you have a right as a wrestling fan to call it shit. In fact, you have almost a responsibility to call it as such because otherwise you're going to keep getting fed shit. Those WrestleMania shows 2 years ago were shit from PWS apparently, according to Rick and Evan Ginsberg. And when we had the chance to have the owner, and I didn't ask fluffy questions, I didn't pad the questions, I get branded the bad guy. And all of a sudden, this jackass owner of this promotion, all of a sudden, because he's mad at our show, goes to Pat and says, no, I don't want to be on any show on the network, including yours too. It's not necessarily my fault that this guy wanted to be a jerk, but then again it is, because maybe I should have just stuck to asking the fluffy questions of, how is the crowd during the show? Do you think you're going to have New Jack back? Do you think? No, I asked tough questions like, how do you think? I mean, you're marketing this show. You had little kids in the audience. And if I remember, one of the questions I asked him was, "What were you thinking booking New Jack on a show where you were openly inviting families to come?" As podcasters, we're here to make, we're here to get, wrestlers on our show and get their name out there. That's what we should be doing. But at the same time, we're borderline wrestling journalists in that people listen to us not only to hear our opinions, but when we interview people, they want to hear reality. They don't want to hear fluff. If all everybody wanted wanted to ask was fluffy questions, then anybody could do this. And anybody can. They ain't going to do it like me. They're not going to have balls like me. They're not going to sit there and look at the guy and go, dude, what the fuck were you thinking marketing this show as a family-friendly event when you have New Jack versus Necro Butcher on the card? Regardless of whether anybody knew who New Jack or Necro Butcher was, you as a promoter damn sure did. It's not smart. It's shit. So I called it shit to your face, and you got pissy about it and couldn't handle some constructive criticism. So you're like, I don't want to be on your show no more. If you're not going to put me over, give me a fucking break. Go home to your mom and let her powder your ass. Just because I won't do it for you. If something's shit, I say it's shit. If something's good, I say it's good. I don't think listeners of this show would want me to lie to them. Now, as for stuff on New Surge Live, I got the inclination from Pat that in his little love letter that he doesn't want Rick on the network. here's a news flash for everybody. When Rick and I did that first Hangout video a couple months ago, I kept it in the can for almost a month. When it hit YouTube, I immediately downloaded it and then took the video off. Before anybody had a chance to see it, before anybody even knew it happened, Rick is asking me, why didn't you put it up? I ignored him because I didn't know if I wanted to put it out. I knew there could be some backlash from it. Rick is not everybody's cup of tea. That version of New Search Live is not everybody's cup of tea. I've said it from day one. We are the antichrists of the IWC. We are the Howard Sterns of the wrestling podcast world. We don't pull any punches. We don't censor ourselves. I don't censor myself here. I'm the same guy here as I am with Rick. Maybe, yeah, I try to calm Rick down a little bit. And if you watch that first show, it's nothing like the other one we did. There's a reason why the other one did like it did, and everybody seems to forget that there's a reason why I totally flipped my fucking shit on Mikey Ferrara. Let me put some facts out there, since everybody wants to talk about facts and everybody wants to talk about, shooting and being real and how to talk to people and everything. On my show, I promoted his show. I put him over. Guy's a little green. He's new. He's a rookie. Blue chipper, as Jim Ross would say. I said he's green, but give him time. He's going to be good. He can only get better. And I still believe that for him. And I'm saying this without Rick. And Rick says I should just let sleeping dogs lie, but I kind of have to rebut Pat's rebuttal here. I have a voice, and I have thoughts, and I can't keep them bottled up like that, man. I put my time, my effort, my thoughts, my heart, my soul into this. Am I looking to make money from all this? I'm not going to say no if it brings me a buck or two. But I do this because I love it. I do this because I want to reach as many people as I possibly can with the sound of my southern ass hick voice. I want to share my opinions with others. I want to know what people think about my opinions. Now, granted, who the fuck am I? I don't know. But I've been doing it for 10 years. On and off for 10 years. Had some dips in our numbers over the years, but there were times where we were drawing 400, 500 people a week listening to our shows live. And then topping maybe 1,000, 1,500 downloads on top of that. I know how to draw. I know how, because of Rick, I know what it takes to make a network prominent and get a network out there and spend 30, 40 minutes a day editing a video, putting your voice out there, making a post on Facebook. Fuck. Rick bashed me into shit for this. But when I used to work at Subway back in like 04, 05, when I was very first doing the show, I printed up 500 leaflets, 500 little posters, or flyers if you were, about my show. I went to my boss at Subway at the time, and I was like, can I put these on top of like the little trash can things so that, hey, when people are throwing their stuff away, they may see it and pick one up? My boss says, sure, go ahead. It's your paper. It's not costing us a dime. It's not bashing the company in any way. Go ahead. Within a day, all 500 of those leaflets were gone. Those flyers were gone. Whether people took them and just threw them in the trash down the street, I don't know. Whether they tuned in and listened, I don't know. But people knew about my show either way, and they knew about p2plive.net, which was the old website. NewSurgeLive.com being the new one. You got to do little things like that. To other people, that may seem stupid, but to me, that's promoting. This is a big reason why I don't really, understand why these other indie other indie companies out there don't get it. They think Facebook is enough. It's not enough. Twitter's not enough anymore, even. YouTube, you got to have all three. I don't have an Instagram account because it's a fucking radio and YouTube show. What the hell you want to look at pictures of me for? You can see pictures on Facebook. If you're my friend on Facebook. I went and bought $8. Now, granted, it's only $8, but I went and spent $8 paid Skype so I can make U.S. calls from my computer so I could do interviews like that Phil Stamper interview, like the Casey Carlisle interview. Got to put a little bit of money in there. Even if you're not getting that money back in return, if you're passionate enough about this, which is why I did one show on TalkShoe, and I was like, Pat, thank you for the opportunity. TalkShoe's a good idea for those who don't have any alternative, but I have an alternative. Let me send you the MP3, or let me put it up on YouTube, and you download the MP3 and put it up that way. That way it'll sound a little bit better. And Pat says, fine. But anyway, at the launch of the network, Pat goes, I'll give Rick a call. And Rick, pretty much being the businessman that he is, smelled a little bit of coin. Nothing wrong with that. And offered to bring the network better. Rick would probably be full-time producer right now if everybody would be willing to pay him to produce, which they're not, but I get it. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? But so then I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get into this the whole thing. Mikey has me on his show as a guest. He asked me to come on his show, and he wanted to interview me. He wanted to know about the history of my show. He wanted to know about a little bit more about me, about how long I've been a fan of the business. Maybe he was diring me a little bit. For those who don't know, it's quizzing to see if you're good enough. I don't know. So I go on his show, and instantly I can tell that this guy has never done a thing like this before in his life. He's sitting there doing the call letters, going 1640 PWP. Arr! And it's like, dude, you're over a telephone. That's not going to sound like Arr! It's going to sound like. Yes. Sorry, I got invaded. My girlfriend was bringing me a rug to put around my desk here. But anyway. So yeah, if you go 1640 PWPR, facebook.com/1640 PWPR, people know about that. But if you go 1640 PWPR, no, granted, I have this sitting next to me, this mixer, but I'm not using it right now. Every interview I've ever done, every video I've ever done for this network has been using this headset, which I got for free from my job. It's a $40 headset. That's all I have. And when Rick sent me my mixer, it was covered in dog hair. It was covered in soda, but I cleaned it up and it works fine. I just got to remember how to plug the damn thing back up again. The Mario poster's gone, by the way. It fell down. Anyway. I mean, excuse me for wanting people to be able to hear me properly. Is there anything wrong with wanting a good quality show? What's the use of having a show or having a podcast if people can't hear it? You're doing radio. Come on now. So I call the kid green, and in the process of doing this interview, I get talked over. I can't finish a thought. He asks me for my opinion on something, and I get, just fucking yelled at, pretty much. Rick listened to it, and he was appalled. Any other fan listening to it, I'm hoping they were appalled. Only thing that proves is that you don't know how to interview people properly. You got a lot to learn. You're green. I've been there before too, man. First interview I ever did, it was AJ Styles. If I remember correctly. AJ Styles. Imagine being a 21-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid and your very first guest on it may have been not the first, but one of your very first shows is AJ fucking Styles. I think I had a stream of yellow running down my leg the entire interview. That's some tough shit, man. You don't know what it's like to interview people like that. You don't know what it's in. Not to say that makes me any better than you, because it doesn't. But you don't know what it's like to call TNA's office, which would some days answer the phone Trifecta Entertainment, which I guess was Dixie's promoting service, and then have other days get answered TNA Wrestling, and being told, yes, you can have this guest on this and this time. Here's their phone number. They're waiting for your call, only to have the wrestler, I think James Storm did this to us, or Chris Harris, one of the two. Go back and listen to the archives on archive.org if you can find them. I may put some up on the YouTube channel. But anyway, you don't know what it's like to have 5 pages worth of questions for this guest. You've been spending your every spare minute during the week preparing for this, only to have the guest not pick up the phone. Or to have the guest be like, I don't remember scheduling an interview. Who are you? Click. And only to call the PR person from TNA back the next day and going, what happened? And you get, I don't know. Let's schedule this person instead. You don't know what it's like to have to sit there on the fly, on live radio, never mind a podcast pre-tape shit like this, on a live interview, and to have a guest that I'm not even going to mention her name because I don't even think she's working for one of the big 3 companies anymore, but to have it be the most god-awful, most boring interview in your life, and you got to sit there and fight to make it interesting for 800 people listening. And if the interview is not interesting, the 800 people who are listening live, never mind the thousands who are downloading your show at the time, they're not going to blame the guest if the interview is not interesting. They're going to blame you. They're going to blame that interviewer. They're going to blame me. They blamed Rick. They blamed the raging redneck Charlie Roth, even though he had very little to do with it. Until you've experienced all that, you don't get to tell me how to run my show, pal. And I'm not saying this with Rick on the damn hangout. This is me. This is my heart on my sleeve talking to you. If you got a problem with me, and if you got a problem with the way I run my show, and if you got a problem with what I said to you, you follow proper protocol and go to the head of the network. Or if you do want to come to me, you come to me nicely. Hey man, I really didn't appreciate it. Could you, refrain for calling me green? And I would have said, I'm sorry, man. Or I would have said, hey, dude, how many years have you been doing this? That's why I called you green. And I hate to be like that. I really do. I hate these wrestlers who, go, well, how many years have you been in the business? Well, when you have an up and coming guy who's only been in the business for about a year and he can out wrestle the dude who's been in the business for 10 years, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it if somebody could do the job better than you. In this case, it's a little bit different. In this case, I know what the fuck I'm doing. In this case, I've been up here and I've been up here and I've been down here. And to answer Pat's deal, the reason why we don't have the same 800 people listening as we did 10 years ago is for a bunch of reasons. One, there was a good 4-year period where I maybe did one YouTube video a year or one podcast with Rick a year. If that. So I said we've been doing it off and on since 2004. Before I even found Rick, I was doing it for a year and a half. On my own. You know how I started? Holding a headset microphone up to a computer speaker and recording the shit that way, or up to my speakerphone and recording the shit that way. Because we didn't have Skype or anything like that back in the day. So then he goes, you don't say this. If you're going to promote, you say this. Which, that's when I really flipped my shit. Because, dude, you're not going to tell me what I say on my show. I don't care what network I'm on. Unless the head of the network has a special request saying, dude, can you tone back a little bit? I'll consider it. And if Pat came to me with something like that, things might have been different. You didn't, dude, you didn't even bother to go to the head of the network and go, hey, man, I feel disrespected. Pat would have probably had the same reaction, and I feel bad, and Pat, I'm sorry to you, man. I'm going to apologize that this all happened on Father's Day. Father's Day. I'm working. Pat's trying to spend time with his family and his 2 daughters on Father's Day, and we got to deal with this twit. Because that's exactly what you acted like, man. You know you did. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And I must be doing something right with this whole YouTube thing and everything. I must be doing something right because now somebody wants to create a YouTube channel for the network, which I said, great. Have at it. Put my shit on there because the more people who see my and hear my ugly ass, the better off I am. And the same goes for every other show on the network. The more it's heard, the better it is. Now, when you get into monetizing, that's when things are going to go waka, 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 waka. Because you can make money off YouTube. And once people start making a little bit of scratch, that's where things get to be interesting. Unless you don't want to monetize the videos. Which, if you make money off my videos, you better well pay me a cut of that. That's all I'm going to say. Or put it back into the network. Get us a live channel. Get us a damn Shoutcast channel. Get us a blog talk where we could go live every week. That's what I think should happen. If we're going to start making money from the network, have the money go right back into the fucking network. I'll pull people to the YouTube channel. My own YouTube channel, and they can make money off of that. I'll release exclusive shit over there if they want to hear more of my ugly ass. I want to help the network grow. I want to help people like Ferrara get better. I want the network to make money so we can get better, so that maybe one day we could be on the fucking level of a Meltzer, or we could be on the level of somebody who charges per fucking show. Maybe not Meltzer, but you know what I mean. Maybe then we could give the little guy a chance. That's the whole mission statement of the network to begin with. I'll let the cat out of the bag. The catch was, Pat came to me and said, let's have you, Rick, Ferrara, and a couple of other, Ken Reedy, and a couple of other shows be our core network, and then if people like it, we could give them a chance and charge them. That's the business model. That's the mission statement. We work as a team to bring people in, and if people want to host their own shit, we give them times and dates, and we start charging for network slots. It's a business model that works. Rick Hendrickson's done it. Piece of shit Chris Cash has done it. There's a whole lot of other Wade Needham did it. Fucking Brett Buchanan's done it. It's a business model that works, and I want it to work. Now, we're not talking about, I hope we're not talking about charging people $200 an hour like what Chris Cash did back in the day. But anyway. But that's the idea. I want this to get better. I want this to work. But you gotta know, you gotta have some semblance of respect for people who have who know what they're doing, who can help make it work. Just like at any radio station, there's a damn runner, there's a producer, and then there's a damn station manager. Pat's the station manager. Now, I know Pat sees this as a hobby. Pat's got a wife and 2 kids. I got a girlfriend and 3 kids. Plus a job that works me 40 plus a week. We all have lives. But when I started doing this again, I knew that I had to put some effort into it. My girlfriend and kids know that I enjoy doing this. This is my hobby. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. And they accept that. And they allot me time to do this. And they don't feel abandoned when I'm doing things like this because they're off doing their own shit. I'm not telling anybody how to run their family. By God means no, I'm never in anybody's position to do that. But if you're going to start doing something like this and you want to watch it grow, you got to put some effort into it. You can't just sit back and coast. Just being real. So, we did the Dusty Rhodes tribute too, and I want to say that you asked Pat asked me, okay, this is how it went. We find out Dusty's dead. We're all fucking heartbroken. Still am. I am still heartbroken over that. So Pat messages everybody, all the hosts on the network, and says, we're doing a Dusty tribute Friday night, Saturday night, or was it Thursday and Friday? Whatever. 2 nights in a row. I think it was Thursday, Friday. I'm going to divide it up. Apparently they did enough on night 1 where they had 2 shows worth. He comes to me and says, ask Rick if he wants to be a part of it. Now, judging by your love letter, you knew what you were getting. You knew what you were going to get when you wanted me to ask Rick to be a part of it. You can't sit there and say you don't. Because if your WrestleMania weekend experience put a bad taste in your mouth, you knew the bad taste was going to return. So Rick said, sure, I'll do it. And I thought it was good. He says it was the worst out of all 3 of the shows. I thought it was good until the pink elephant came back in the room. And Rick messaged me and goes, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And that's when you heard me go, "Oh God." Because now I got to explain to Rick who Ferrara is and why he's talking like that. Why the first words out of his mouth are a promo on me? Because that's what Rick asked. He goes, "Dude, why is he talking in promos on a tribute show? And why is he cutting promos on you?" And to which I had no reply. I said, "I don't know. I didn't piss the guy off." This is before he messaged me about how to plug his show and all this. And I'd like to be able to answer good for all, and say, "Hey, if Ken Reedy called up, I'd say, yeah, that's Ken Reedy. He's got a damn good show on Monday nights on Blog Talk, and he replays it here on the network. It's awesome. Top Rope Report. Hey, that was the Top Rope Report. They have a damn good show. Here's their slot on the network. Blading for Truth. Here you go. They're a damn good show. They take a different approach to things. This is what they're about." I was as speechless then as I am now. Because I couldn't, this is hard. I couldn't be like that. I could not be like that. And I told Rick, I says, "This is the dude that I was on his show who interviewed me." And Rick goes, "Oh, fuck." And that's when Rick said something, and I I ended up hanging up. I hung up because I knew that A, Rick didn't want to hear it. B, I didn't want to be fucking sitting there in the middle of a Dusty Rhodes tribute having disrespectful promos cut on me when that's not what the night was about. Sure, we got into things other than Dusty Rhodes, but we kept it civilized. We didn't cut promos on each other. We didn't bash each other. We didn't finger poke, each other. And so I hung up. I didn't want to hear it. Rick didn't want to hear it. Rick was patched into the damn whole thing through my Skype. He didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. I don't have to sit there and be talked to like that. So I removed myself from it. I did the smart thing, and I removed myself from it. Because I like to think of myself as being above that a little. And I don't think I'm wrong or being an asshole for saying that. I'm not above I'm not above dick and fart jokes every once in a while, but when we're trying to be serious, and Rick was doing his damnedest to be serious, even though maybe he didn't want to be there in the first place, okay? Maybe Rick did not want to be there, but he was asked to be there, and he came out of respect for me, and out of respect for Pat, and out of respect for the business, and for Dusty. He wanted to talk about Dusty. So maybe Rick wasn't all in on it. I can't speak for Rick. I don't know what was going through his mind. But the last thing Rick wanted was to have a fucking character show up and just start working promos and gimmicks on people. It's not what that night was about. It's not what that show was about. So then that snowball, and I kept my mouth shut on the whole fucking thing. Okay? Me and Rick had our little exchange after that, but as for the bad interview, I kept my mouth shut on it because I felt totally disrespected. I even went to Rick. I was like, "Dude, you got to listen to this." And Rick Rick listened to that interview. Rick listened to when I was on Ferrara's show and goes, this shit ain't right, man. That's amateur. That's bush league. Who the fuck talks over their guests like that and goes, hey, stop talking, I'm not done? Can you imagine if I was somebody like AJ Styles and a host did that to me? Come on, man. But it's water under the bridge. And my stance on this is this. Pat thinks I'm poisoning the network by having Rick on. Okay? He didn't say that, but he doesn't want Rick a part of the network. Okay? Never once have any of my YouTube videos involving Rick have been on the network. They've been on my website. They've been on my personal YouTube channel that has nothing to do with 1640 PWPR, even though I promote 1640 PWPR on that network. And I do it gladly because I'm proud to be a member of that network. I'm proud to be I'm proud to be in a network with people like Ken Reedy and Blading for Truth and Top Rope Report and Mikey Ferrara Speaks, who can only get better, and I hope you do, Mike. For the sake of the network, for the sake of your show, you can only get better, man. Your brand is exclusive to you and is unique to you, and you have a unique approach to things, and I like it. There's just some things you gotta learn. And one is just don't talk over your guests like that. Don't come on to a tribute show cutting fucking promos and acting like a total jackass. That's why I hung up. But Rick has never been a part of 1640 PWPR. Rick has never really been associated with anything involving 1640. I've mentioned 1640 PWPR on the little New Search Live hangouts that we've done. But they have never been on the 1640 PWPR page, to the best of my knowledge, unless somebody's went on there and shared them. They've never been official episodes of New Search Live. The very first one we did was supposed to be, but I pulled it. I did something different. Pat even asks me, dude, where's the episode with you and Rick? I was like, there is none. I don't want that. It's apples and oranges. Rick's fine with that. Hell, I enjoy doing the little video game things with Rick. I enjoy talking to Rick Hendrickson. Me and Rick have very good rapport with each other. We've been together for 10 years doing this shit. I like hearing Rick's take on things, man. Because when he's fucking serious and when he wants to get his damn thinking cap on, he's a goddamn genius. And everybody, including you, Pat, know it. Regardless of what you and him did WrestleMania weekend 2 years ago with Evan Ginsberg and everybody, I'll apologize. I'm sorry I fucked things up with you in PWS. Part of it has to do with a guy who is a promoter who put his crybaby face on, put the boo-boo face on when somebody called him out on his own shit. And called spade a spade. So, with this being said and everything being said, I want to wrap it up here. We've gone on far too long with this. I hope, I'm not going to apologize for what was said, what was done, because I don't have to. I love this network. I'm glad to be a part of this network. Thank you, Pat, for, King Firehawk, for making me a part of this network, for allowing me to be a part of this network. I'm just saying, let's cut the bullshit. Sometimes, it's just, you gotta call bullshit when you see it, man. And this was bullshit. And I wasn't going to stand idly by and just let it float down the river. I'm not the one that put the turd in the punch bowl. I'm not the one that pissed in the pool, as you said, and Rick wasn't either. Maybe I made a mistake of taking this to Rick and me and him doing a little YouTube show about it. But again, that had nothing to do and never aired on the network. It's a part of my little rinky-dink YouTube channel that doesn't get any views according to you. Maybe it doesn't. Oh well. It's a hobby. I still enjoy doing this. I'm not even going to put any fancy clothes or any closes or music to this. It's just going to air as it is. It needs to air as it is. I'm just a fucking wrestling fan slash gamer slash TV yuts who just loves, he's passionate. I take pride in my work. You were right about that, Pat. You were right about that, Firehawk. I probably take more pride in this than I should. And I'm not going to see it be disrespected. I'm not going to be disrespected by someone who just, gets mad when I call him a little green. Gets mad when I call him a rookie. And gets mad when I say, hey, you got a lot to learn. I've been there before, man. I paid my fucking dues in this. Just like in pro wrestling, you got to pay your dues. I've paid my dues. I paid my podcasting. We were doing fucking podcasts before the fucking term podcast was even invented. When we were doing our live show, nobody knew what a fucking podcast was. I'm sorry if this offends somebody. I'm sorry if somebody takes this a little bit too much to heart, but it's how I feel. And I ain't got Rick with me in the other room or in the other window giving his two cents in. This is all me. In fact, Rick didn't want me to come on here and talk about it. Rick was like, dude, just let it go. Just let the shit go. Rick's not pissing in this pool. This is all me. This is all about what I want you to hear from me and how I was thinking. And how I was disrespected and offended. Maybe I should have waited till Monday to contact Pat about all this that Monday after Father's Day. Pat, I'm sorry if I ruined your Father's Day with this shit. I'm sorry that, if you don't want to produce my shit no more, I'll send you an MP3 of the show. It's no problem. Or give me the Spreaker link or the login information for Spreaker. I'll upload the shit myself. It's no problem. It takes 20 minutes out of my day. Ooh. You don't have to do as much work to my show as you have to others. And Rick was right about one thing. When we did that little YouTube video that I had to get scrapped because the Hangout wasn't working. There are others on this show, on this network, whether they want to have the balls to admit it or not, which I hope they do. You know who you are. There's others that think the same way I do. Maybe this will give them the balls to say it. I'm not the only one that thinks this way. I'm not the only one who wants this network to succeed like this. I'm not the one that wants to sit there and watch the. I'm not the only one that wants this to grow. I want to see it grow. Thing is, maybe somebody's, maybe somebody just sees this as a hobby, and that's all well and good. I know that King Firehawk wants us to grow, otherwise he wouldn't have started it. He wouldn't have continued it. I'm just saying, maybe sometimes it's just you can't goof around and do dick and fart jokes on it. That's why Rick has never been a part of it. That's why when I do the YouTube thing with Rick, it stays separate. It gets promoted on my personal Facebook page. May get promoted on the New Search Live Facebook page, but It doesn't see the Spreaker page. It doesn't see TalkShoe. It doesn't see Facebook.com/1640PWPR. It's not associated with it. Rick doesn't want to be associated with it. That's why I keep it separate. Anyway, long enough, guys. Thank you for listening to this week's show. I'm sorry that I went an hour plus on this topic, but leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think about all this, Tell me what you think about Arkham Knight. Tell me what you thought about E3 from last week, Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh my god, people flipped their lids for that, including me. I'm Joe White. This has been New Search Live for Thursday or Friday, June 26th. And we'll see you guys down the road. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening to the MP3 of this, we appreciate it very much, and we'll see you down the road. We'll speak with you soon.